The action from the global epicenter of power, curating global conversations and bringing you out-of-the-box ideas from the world's movers and shakers. From politics to financial markets, from Brexit to the US government shutdown, from commodity prices to the challenge of Industry 4.0. Catch global influencers as they talk about the narrative that will shape 2019. Join me live from Davos through this week.
Well, it's day 2 of the World Economic Forum, and the globe's richest and the most powerful have congregated at the picturesque town of Davos in Switzerland. My colleague Shireen Ban is in Davos and has been sending us exclusive conversations with the biggest names in the corporate world. She caught up with Anand Mahindra, the chairman of the Mahindra Group, earlier today, and he told her that the Mahindra Group finds continued value in being together and hence will not spin off the tractor business into a separate entity. That's not all. Mahindra also reiterated that he believed that the Mahindra Group was a federation and not a conglomerate, and added that they were focusing on finding new ways to strengthen governance.
I think till I die I'll face questions about too many businesses. I think...
and 100+ subsidiaries.
I know. I think by now analysts have grudgingly acknowledged that we seem to have found some way in which we can make this theoretically unwieldy conglomeration of businesses work. Don't forget, this is not a conglomerate.
It's a federation.
It's a federation. Thank you very much for remembering that. And you know, GE, I don't hold GE out as an example anymore. I always used to differentiate us from GE because GE is a conglomerate. But the federation philosophy, if anything, Shireen, is strengthening. And every year we find new mechanisms to strengthen governance. Governance is the number one glue of a federation. And I don't have to tell you, governance is the number one issue in large corporations. If you look at the number of executives who are behind bars today, the thin line between good governance and bad governance is something that people are finding hard to manage.
Including a former partner of yours, Carlos Ghosn.
I don't take names of anybody, but I think the signs are all around us that governance has got to be the hallmark of groups like ours. Even Renault and Nissan were a group. So it is possible to nurture and to build diverse businesses. I think the biggest opportunity for us, which we've demonstrated, is that new business opportunities lie in the intersections of these businesses. What we are finding is our biggest opportunities come when one business says, hey, you know, I need this done here, but I think you can do it. Whether it's Mahindra Logistics doing people mobility for the auto sector. There are hundreds, I could go on. So I am not done with that model. I think we've done well. I got a wonderful message from a private equity player, I won't take his name again, who sent me a wonderful message 6 months ago saying, he quoted a Motilal Oswal report, and he said that from 2002 to 2018, our stock had the highest CAGR in the Nifty, 31%. We were the best performing stock over 2002 to 2018. I don't think that's a sign that the Federation is crumbling.
No, I wasn't saying at all that the Federation is crumbling. I was just asking you whether we are going to see more streamlining, more untangling, so to speak. In terms of unlocking more shareholder value, and this is speculation, I don't know if there is any truth to it or not, but would you consider the possibility of spinning off the tractor business into a separate entity?
You know, these kinds of questions are not new. They're not something that we look at in stealth. They're questions about value and about business strategy. And is there a value and merit in auto and farm? We're still together, which means...
No, in terms of splitting it up.
No, we are finding continued value in being together. If you look at anybody, I was just in another interview just now where people were asking about scale. You know that every auto business, every mobility business in the world is looking at scale. We have scale because if you look at the auto and farm businesses, the things they share at the back end or the things they share in human resources, in procurement, in R&D, in co-location, those kinds of synergies you don't give up easily. Other people are scrounging to find them. So yes, there could be a bit of a pop if you say I'm going to separate this in order to get a higher PE. We're players for the long term. We're not here to please the markets for a very short-term pop-up if we see value in long-term synergy.
So it's not something that you're considering. You don't believe it makes sense.
We consider everything all the time. We are such a large group. At every point in time, we'll have somebody saying, why don't you do this?
But you don't believe it merits discussion or taking forward at this point?
Not so far, no.
Well, Shireen also caught up with Rajesh Gopinathan, the CEO of TCS, and he believes that the IT sector is not really experiencing a talent crunch, but a lack of right people in the right job. The TCS CEO also said that they were doubling their talent development to meet this demand in future.
Definitely the mood is one of introspection. I wouldn't put the mood as one being very optimistic compared to the...
What are they introspecting about?
This whole aspect of globalization 4.0 and the fact that we need to find what they're calling the new architecture. I think the problems are well understood. The solutions, the basic solutions are yet to be fully understood. But the good thing is that it's very clear that the solution is going to come by betting on the human spirit.
Right.
And if you think about it, it's one space that whether we take TCS or India in general, we have been fairly good at it in terms of betting on people and skilling people in being able to bring people up to participate in the jobs of the future and to make them ready for the global labor pool. And that's where the real issue is and the challenge is, and a lot of the dialogue is happening on that space.
You know, since you talk about talent, one of the issues that you're faced with is a talent crunch, and that has also negatively impacted your margins because of the subcontracting work that's happened. Is this now a structural increase that we're going to have to get used to?
We'll have to wait and see how the solutions come out. Actually, if you look at a lot of the dialogue happening here, it's not that the jobs are not there. It is that the right talent for the right job is not there. And that has been our focus. As we said, we are supply constrained on the opportunities that are there, and the geopolitics of it is not helping it. So definitely in the short term, we are going to see some amount of impact on it as we continue to invest in capturing the demand that is there and probably invest in creating talent, which is going to take a lot more time than the immediate ones. But we are very, very optimistic about the long-term focus on technology and long-term visibility on demand. And hence we are doubling down on our talent development, both in India as well as in our overseas theatres.
Well, we'll continue to bring you the top voices from Davos through the day. But for now, the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, or NCLAT, has directed the NCLT Ahmedabad bench to pass an order in the Essar Steel resolution plan by the 31st of this month. Now, remember, ArcelorMittal, which had made an upfront payment offer of 42,000 crore rupees, has already emerged as the highest bidder for the debt-laden steel giant, and they had moved the NCLAT seeking a quicker decision in this case, where the offer, of course, was accepted in the month of October. Until now, no ruling has been passed. The Riyaz, remember, had also sought to withdraw the company from insolvency by offering 54,000 crore rupees to the lender. Now, NCLAT has directed NCLT to rule on both ArcelorMittal's offer and the maintainability of Riyaz's offer before the 4th of Feb, failing which the NCLAT will transfer the case to itself. And this is also, remember, not the very first time that the Appellate Tribunal has directed the NCLT to move on in this case expeditiously. The lenders had also moved the higher court earlier to expedite the matter. The NCLAT had passed a similar order in the first week of this month. Now, staying with Essar Steel, we understand from sources that State Bank of India is likely to extend the deadline for the sale of Essar Steel loans, which comes on the back of this NCLAT order that was passed today. Now, SBI has decided, we understand, to not go ahead with the e-bidding for Essar Steel's exposure on the 30th of January, as was originally planned, but instead defer the sale or taking any call in the matter per se after the 4th of February, which is when the NCLAT will take a final call in this case if the NCLT fails to pass an order in both the maintainability and Essar Steel's offer by the 4th of February. Now, that aside, given that the EOI submission deadline was today, we do understand that there has been a good response where 18 to 20 players did submit EOIs to buy this exposure from SBI. So you had the likes of SSG Capital, Acre, Edelweiss Asset Reconstruction Company, Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank, etc., SC Lowy as well, that had shown an interest, but we do understand that there was some concern raised by many of these players with respect to the clawback option in the bidding document, and therefore SBI was also earlier mulling revising the terms of the sale itself to ensure that there is better response from some of these players. But of course, now that entire process has been pushed back to after the 4th of Feb, which is when SBI is hopeful that the NCLAT and the NCLT will be able to decide on the resolution for SR Steel. Now moving on to the last REIT action then. After hovering around the higher end of the 200-day moving average for the last few days, a slight miss in ITC earnings triggered a sharp sell-off in the benchmarks as markets tumbled about 1%. The Nifty and the Sensex tanked about 1%, and the Nifty managed to hold on to that 10,800 mark, while the Sensex ended above 36,100. Bank Nifty shed about 230 points, dragged by SBI, Kotak and HDFC Bank. Mid-caps, however, slightly outperformed today. That index ended flat with a slight negative bias. Now, as we were saying in Earnings Corner, FMCG major ITC reported a positive set of numbers for its third quarter, and the company met street expectations on profit as well as revenue fronts. However, there was a marginal miss on the marginal front. The stock, however, ended the day down 4% on the back of this. Mangalam Malu joins us now with more on the details. Mangalam, take us through the numbers and tell us why the stock fell after the numbers were reported.
Well, ITC lost in today's trading session, perhaps on account of some profit taking after the results were pretty much in line with what the street expected. So cigarette volumes of around 7 to 8% appears that they were in line with what the street was working with, around 6 to 7%. The smaller verticals, FMCG, hotels and paper, surprised positively, and the net profit, adjusted net profit, actually grew by about 20%. Remember, the base quarter had an exceptional gain of around 413 crores. So run you through the numbers. Revenue growth of around 15%, 11,228 crores was above the street expectations. EBITDA of around 4326 crores as well, above the street expectations of close to 4,300 crores. And the net profit coming in at 3,209 crores, pretty much higher than our expectations of 3,077 crores. The cigarette revenue growth, the mainstay of the business, came in at around 9.6%. The margins out there came in a little lower than what the street was working with, and that's primarily on account of a higher input or higher leaf tobacco prices, as the company alluded to in their press release. Apart from that, the FMCG business, 11% growth. The street was working with that. The operational performance out there improved. Margins came in from improved from 1.6% to 2.4%. Hotels business too did fairly well, about 12%, and margins expanded a fair bit. Paper business, on account of a new plant and some new initiatives, the revenue growth was higher by 21%, and the margins were higher by about 50 basis points too. With ITC, the stock saw some profit taking in today's trading session, and after today's decline, trades at around 25 times FY20 earnings, which is almost a 50% discount to its nearest peer, Hindustan Unilever. So there is some sort of valuation comfort. Let's see what the brokerages make of the stock.
Oh, absolutely, Mangalam. Thank you very much for bringing us that detailed analysis. Now, staying with earnings, Interglobe Aviation has reported a 75% drop in their third quarter profits, but the operational performance has seen a turnaround of sorts. The airline has seen a 28% growth in revenues, hitting nearly 8,000 crore rupees with a profit of 190 crore rupees. But more importantly, margins have recovered to 21% from just 3.6% in the second quarter. Yields for the company have also risen to 3.7% from 3.7% to 3.83%. On that note, we'll slip into a short break on the show, but when we return, GST mop-up for the month of December may remain subdued. We'll tell you why when we return.
घर में फैमिली की डिमांड्स और ऑफिस में काम की इन्वेस्टमेंट करने के लिए टाइम कहाँ मिलता है क्योंकि मेरे पीछे SMC है। SMC, money wise, be wise.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
Celebrating 50 glorious years. Welcome to Southeast Asia's largest machine tool show, IMTEX 2019 and Tooltech 2019, with over 1150 exhibitors from 23 countries showcasing manufacturing technologies including factory of the future, additive manufacturing and more. From 24th to 30th January 2019 at VIEC Bengaluru.
Will this turn out to be an interim budget or a desperate budget? Stung by recent election setbacks, will the government take desperate decisions that destabilize the stock market? Watch the election budget on India's budget headquarters, CNBC TV 18.
Watch the Election Budget 2019 on your budget headquarters, CNBC TV 18 and cnbctv18.com.
Welcome back. You're still with Reporter's Diary, and here's a CNBC TV 18 exclusive. SBI Chairman Rajneesh Kumar is all set to meet with SEBI Chief Ajay Tyagi to discuss Etihad's revival proposal for the cash-strapped Jet Airways. Remember, Etihad had already listed out a set of demands to infuse about $35 million into the debt-laden carrier. Lata Venkatesh joins us now with the very latest. Hi, Lata. When is this meeting and what is the exact agenda?
The SBI Chairman is meeting the SEBI Chairman because they're not able to get a better deal. It appears that Etihad is refusing to give anything more than 150, which militates against the substantial acquisition of shares and takeovers code. If you go by the high-low of the last 6 months, it should have been 262 rupees. But it's 150, and that's the offer, take it or leave it. They also want Jet Airways shares to be pledged. Only then they will be releasing this $35 million. So clearly they want Naresh Goyal and related parties to not have any substantial say.
All right, Lata, thank you. So talks continue between Jet Airways and its lenders. Now, GST collections for the month of December may remain subdued. We learned that the collections will likely hover around the 95,000 crore rupee mark for December. And remember, this is lower than the government's projection of about 1 lakh crore collections per month. Timsy Jaipuria has been tracking the story and joins us now. Timsy, what have you picked up?
Well, it is a worrisome picture emerging just before budget. What I understand from sources is the fact that GST collections for the month of December are likely to remain subdued, that too in the range of 94 to 96,000 odd crore rupees. If you see the fiscal so far, it was only in the month of September when the collections crossed the magical 1 lakh crore rupee mark. However, the asking rate continues to be 1.15 lakh crore rupees, and government has already admitted that attaining the 1 lakh crore rupee mark is what their agenda is. They are not looking at the asking rate as the monthly average to be attained as of now, because GST is still under the stabilizing stage. Also, this time the decline is an impact of two things. Firstly, the rate correction that was announced on December 22nd, and secondly, the decline in demand. However, if you see the pre-GST era, December, Jan, Feb and March are the 4 months which are very crucial when it comes to revenue collections, because these are the most yielding months for when it comes to the revenue trends. Also, if you see yesterday itself, we saw high-powered GOM tasked by GST Council on revenue augmentation met yesterday itself under the chairmanship of Sushil Modi, who is Deputy CM of Bihar, to try and look into ways and means to augment revenue collections. CBIC also on its part has started taking steps and measures to monitor revenue collections on a weekly basis. CBIC chairman has recently written to all its top tax officials to look into ways and means to augment revenue collections. However, let's see what happens finally on 1st of Feb when this number will be officially reported, and that too being the budget day. Let's see what happens on 1st of Feb. Back to you.
Oh yes, it's going to be a very interesting day, Timsy. We leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining in. Here's a big political development this evening. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has finally entered active politics just months ahead of the crucial Lok Sabha polls. She will debut as the party's General Secretary with charge of Eastern Uttar Pradesh. Remember, this part of UP has constituencies of BJP's top mascots, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath included. Now let's go across to Parikshit Luthra for more on this important story. Parikshit, will Priyanka Gandhi's entry help the Congress party overcome the massive challenge that is posed by the BJP and the SP-BSP alliance in Uttar Pradesh?
You know, ever since the 2014 Lok Sabha polls, my sources in the Congress party have been telling us that Priyanka Gandhi would be a trump card for the Congress, and they would take out that trump card at a suitable time. And I guess the Congress party feels that that suitable time has now come. She had been helping Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi in the family bastions of Amethi and Raebareli for many years now, since 2004. But now it seems that the Congress felt that it was the right time to motivate the cadre by throwing her into one of the toughest regions in India, the Purvanchal region, eastern UP region of Uttar Pradesh, which has Ayodhya, Gorakhpur and Varanasi. So just imagine, she's taking on the Prime Minister, she's also taking on the Chief Minister, Yogi Adityanath, and also she's fighting the BJP in the very crucial constituency of Ayodhya. This entire region has about 28 seats. Her contribution will be extremely crucial. What we'll now have to wait and see is whether Priyanka Gandhi will actually fight this election as well electorally. Motivating the cadre, choosing the candidates, campaigning across the country is one thing, but will she fight? In fact, sources have been telling us that it's quite possible that she may fight from the family bastion of Raebareli, because Sonia Gandhi's health has not been up to the mark. Her health has been a concern for several months, several years now, and it's possible that at the last stage, the Congress may make an announcement and Priyanka Gandhi may finally fight that election from Raebareli.
All right, Pariksha, thanks very much for joining in, but we'll stay with that story. And Pallavi Ghosh also joins us now. Pallavi, you have been tracking the Congress party for many years now. How are you reading into this development, or is it just that the Congress strategy wants to ensure that Amethi and Raebareli Lok Sabha seats stay within the Congress?
But I would move beyond Amethi and Raebareli. It's not just a mission saving of these two constituencies. It's actually that of Uttar Pradesh. See, stung by the SP-BSP alliance. Remember, Rahul Gandhi had said, I'm going to give a 440 watts jolt. We are not going to fight on a back foot. We have certain plans. I think that was the indication he was giving, that I'm going to get two people, Jyotiraditya Scindia as well as Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, in charge of West and East respectively. And that's going to be one jolt which they're going to give to SP-BSP and also to the BJP. Essentially, what the Congress is looking at is winning at least those key 20 to 25 seats. Those seats in which they came to power after 2004. They had, remember, more than 20 Lok Sabha MPs from Uttar Pradesh. That's what they are targeting. And in that target, they hope that Priyanka Gandhi Vadra can play an important role.
All right, Pallavi, thank you very much for joining in with your take. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Reporter's Diary. Thank you for watching, but do stay tuned to CNBC TV 18.